A massive crowd gathered in a Parisian square, clapping with relief, slow, heavy claps, as if a great weight had finally fallen from their shoulders. No cheering, no jumping, just a long applause like the audience after the final scene of a tense theater play. And truly, what had unfolded in France felt like the most terrifying theater in human history. Our story begins at a renowned Paris school where two bright boys once studied together in the 1770s. They were inseparable, sharing books, dreams, and ambitions. Both eventually became lawyers, but destiny pulled them in different directions. One of them, a young man named Maximilien Robespierre, rose quickly in the legal world. His friend Camille found his path in journalism. Robespierre was far more ambitious. His confidence in public speaking made him stand out. When the French king visited Paris, Robespierre was chosen to deliver the welcoming speech, an honor for any young lawyer. Standing beside the royal carriage, he spoke with pride. The king didn't even look at him, not a glance. That moment planted a deep wound in Robespierre's heart, one that slowly turned into resentment. Around this time, whispers were spreading. If you want to understand a nation's sorrow, look at its king. Robespierre, too, began to see the king as the symbol of France's suffering. Soon he immersed himself in the political writings of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a philosopher who believed true power belonged to the people, not the monarch. These ideas ignited something inside Robespierre. While the king and queen continued their lavish lifestyle, food prices soared, poverty worsened, and the public mood darkened. In these stormy times, Robespierre stepped into politics, not realizing that he would soon become the central figure of a revolution. History shows us, when the oppressed gain power, sometimes they become more dangerous than those they once opposed. By 1789, France erupted in anger. The king was trapped in his own palace, now a prisoner of the very people he ruled. The elected assembly began seizing power, and Robespierre, armed with fiery speeches, became one of its notable members. He soon joined the Jacobin Club, a radical political group. Thanks to his voice and charisma, he quickly rose as its leading figure. The Jacobins believed in ending monarchy completely, permanently, and punishing anyone who defended it. Though the assembly lacked a clear majority, they used public rallies to turn the people against the king. Rumors spread that the king was plotting to destroy the new government. In June 1792, thousands stormed the palace. The first attack failed, but 2 months later, with support from sections of the army, they attacked again. The king was captured. By September, France declared itself a republic. A new election gave the Jacobins full control. The Assembly, now called the National Convention, appointed Robespierre as one of its top leaders. Debates erupted over the king's fate. Robespierre insisted there was no need for a trial. The king must die, or the revolution would die. Luxuries were stripped from the royal family. Their clothes, food, even basic comforts were removed. Each member was locked in solitary confinement, separated from each other. A symbolic trial followed, but the verdict was already decided. On a cold January morning in 1793, the king was led to the guillotine, the national blade. Drums drowned his final words. Within seconds, the blade fell, and the monarchy of centuries came to an end. A few months later, the queen followed. But with the king gone, Robespierre's fear did not end. It grew, and from his fear emerged one of the darkest chapters in French history, the Reign of Terror. In July 1793, he joined the powerful Committee of Public Safety, a 12-member council that acted like a national cabinet. Though meant to be equal, Robespierre quickly became its dominating influence. He abolished earlier revolutionary laws that protected citizens. He declared that anyone criticizing the government, even lightly, was a traitor. Evidence? Unnecessary. Suspicion alone was enough. He even told judges not to ask questions, just punish. As a result, the innocent suffered most. From September 1793 to July 1794, France became a stage of fear. Thousands were executed publicly. Today, official numbers mention around 17,000 deaths by guillotine. But real numbers were much higher, lost in silence and missing records. Then came the moment that changed everything. In the city of Lyon, citizens rebelled against the government's harsh policies. They surrendered peacefully when the army arrived. But Robespierre ordered brutal retaliation, homes burned, prisoners tied before cannons, executions on a massive scale. France shuddered. Robespierre was no longer seen as a hero. Whispers turned into accusations. Dictator, tyrant. Food prices were out of control. Agriculture was collapsing. Livestock markets emptied. People were hungry, angry, and afraid. Even members of Robespierre's own committee began turning against him. Then came the betrayal that broke him. His childhood friend Camille, now a respected journalist, published a fiery piece comparing Robespierre to ancient tyrants who executed citizens without cause. Camille pleaded for compassion and human rights. Robespierre felt personally attacked. Enraged, he accused both Camille and their mutual friend Danton of treason. They were arrested and executed under his orders. But that day, Robespierre kept his window shut. He couldn't bear to watch. With the death of his closest friends, public support for Robespierre collapsed. People whispered, if he cannot spare his friends, who can he spare? In late July 1794, Robespierre delivered a 2-hour speech at the National Convention, claiming he had a secret list of traitors. He stared at the members and warned that anyone afraid of the list was surely guilty. The hall froze. The next day, before he could speak again, he was shouted down. Members demanded his arrest. Soldiers stormed the chamber. What followed felt like a dramatic chase scene. Robespierre was arrested, rescued by his supporters, then fled to the city hall. But key groups abandoned him. The government forces surrounded the building. Shots were fired. Robespierre was found bleeding, his jaw shattered. Whether he shot himself or someone else shot him remains debated. He was taken to prison, the same one where he once kept the queen. By evening, he was taken to the guillotine. His bandage was torn away, causing him to scream in agony. Moments later, the blade fell. The crowd erupted in relief. 15 minutes of heavy, thunderous applause. The same applause that had once terrified France. With Robespierre's death, the reign of terror ended. History remembers him as a man who tried to end tyranny and became its symbol. But now it's your turn to decide. Was he a guardian of the revolution or a ruler consumed by fear and power? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below and explore more stories of revolutions and the people who shaped them.